All right, Teak, this is going to be an interesting conversation because the project is fascinating in itself. And our next guest is a very versatile guy, a lot of interest. Named Scott Fujita, played in the NFL, pretty good player as well. 11 years, linebacker, Kansas City, Dallas, but really the Saints when he went there in '06, first player that was unrestricted, signed there. Really had a great impact on the area right after Katrina. And he's also one of the producers on the movie Gleason, his former teammate. And Scott is with us now here on Tiki and Tierney. Scotty, how are you, man? What's happening?
Doing great, guys. Good to talk to you.
Likewise, Scott. How are you, my friend? I got a question for you about your bio for this movie. Who wrote at the end? It says you're failing miserably at yoga, piano, Pilates, and violin, as well as having elevated levels of estrogen, which would be a PED if you were still playing.
It's all honesty, man. Yeah, it's all bad. I had my kids enrolled in piano and violin and everything else. I started doing lessons with them, and I do not have that right brain, left brain thing. I am failing miserably in the creative department. I know that for sure.
Yeah, I know that as well. Luckily, you had athletic ability in spades.
No doubt.
But let's get to Gleason and Steve in particular. A lot of people probably have seen you right alongside him. I know I have when I did that interview with you guys back at the UN a few years ago. And you've taken this responsibility to take this journey with him very seriously. How did that relationship between you guys happen and get so deep? Was it simply because you were teammates?
Yeah, I think it just started with us as teammates and me getting to New Orleans in 2006 and getting to know Steve right after off-season workouts began, and us just connecting. And obviously, the big moment in the Superdome kind of cemented Steve as an icon in that community. I mean, blocking a punt that in many respects ignited the rebirth in an entire region. But we just became really good friends. And when he stepped away from the game in '08, '09, then in January of 2011, he gets diagnosed with ALS. And I had lost my uncle to ALS about 15 years before Steve got diagnosed. So I knew this disease well. I had seen it up close, and I knew how hard this was going to be on Steve and his wife, Michelle. So I just wanted to be there for them for whatever they needed, starting the foundation, Team Gleason, and all the things they've been able to accomplish with that. I wanted to be supportive. And then now with the film and just helping them accomplish whatever it is they want to accomplish, I'm here for the guy. I love him, and I know he'd do the same for me.
No, you've attacked this with a vigor. I mean, some people get involved with non-for-profits or causes or whatever it may be, but this feels very personal to you, and it's awesome, and I love to see it. When you first were told by Steve that he was suffering from ALS, what was your emotional reaction? Because obviously, I would think, and I think a lot of people would think the same, this is a death sentence.
Yeah, and by the books, it is a death sentence. But I think it's the way Steve has chosen to live with this disease and say, I'm not going to let it dictate the way I live my life, has been nothing short of remarkable. But I remember where I was standing at the moment he called me, January 5th, 2011, and delivered the news. Now, we all had a sense that something was coming. He had been having these weird symptoms and muscle spasms that were largely unexplained. But in the back of my mind, I thought, man, this sounds a lot like what my Uncle Frank went through. But until you actually hear those words come out of his mouth, it doesn't seem quite real, especially for someone at his age. I mean, you think, no way, it can't be that. He's too young. He's got too much life left. This guy's a physical specimen. So it was just crushing. But again, he just said, I can either resist this or accept it. Either way, it's going to happen. So he's attacked this thing and has a great support system around him, and we're kind of off to the races to try to make a dent in the world.
That's awesome. Talking to Scott Fujita, a former NFL linebacker with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. You talk about his initial mindset where it's coming no matter what, so you may as well embrace it and try to do something positively. I know that's probably the condensed version. Maybe not, though. But, I mean, was there ever a moment, and I would imagine when he was painfully honest with you or other people, he would come out and say, why me? I mean, did he ever go through that? And is that depicted in the film at all?
Yeah, some of that is in the film. I mean, this film is going to take you on an emotional roller coaster with extreme highs, extreme lows. You're going to walk into a theater and laugh your ass off and cry your ass off because Steve and his wife, Michelle, both have incredible strength, but they're also incredibly human and raw, and they share their vulnerabilities in a way that I'm so proud of, but it's also kind of shocking. I mean, they go there in every sense of the word and have a great sense of levity through the process. So I'm just proud of them to open up the way that they did. And that was, this film was never really the original intention. It was just one man who had gotten diagnosed. His wife finds out she's pregnant 6 weeks later, and Steve turning the camera on himself to begin sharing himself with his unborn child, with journal entries and how to skip a rock, how to ask a girl out, how to shave, how to overcome adversity, faith, religion, etc.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So then you fast forward a couple of years, and he's got over 1,000 hours of footage, and I'm like, breathtaking stuff. Not just those intimate journal entries, but also Steve jumping out of an airplane to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the diagnosis, or getting carried up to Machu Picchu, or partying backstage with Pearl Jam. I mean, all this is there. So then it's his family makes a decision to turn it into a film because they recognize the impact that it might have. So they ask a few of us who are close friends and family to do something with it. So literally over like backyard, pizza and beer sessions and drawing on a whiteboard, we form a production company, hire a director, Clay Tweel, and we're off to the races. We get into Sundance Film Festival, Amazon buys the film, and it opens in theaters tonight. So just the support we've gotten is pretty incredible.
Now, how is his as communications? This is Steve's communication with everyone now. Obviously, he does it with eye tracking technology that we've seen in others that have lived with neuromuscular diseases like this. And then I guess the deeper question is, what's his son? His son's got to be 4 now.
Yeah, his son is 4.5 years old. His son would say 4 3/4. He would be that specific. But yes, I mean, his ability to communicate, it's improving all the time because Steve has made it his mission or his passion to push the envelope on technology. He says, hey, I'm not speaking fast enough with my eyes. We got to improve that. He's got a great team at Microsoft who work with him and accomplishing all the things that Steve wants to accomplish. Steve is now driving his chair with his eyes. That was an idea that he gave to Microsoft, and Microsoft made it happen. Steve and his wife, Michelle, and their son, Rivers, and all the caregiving crew have been staying with us in California this whole month of July so that they could participate in the West Coast premiere activities around the film. And yeah, I mean, to see his kid playing with my daughters, swimming in the pool every day, in the evenings we put them to bed, and then from 8 till midnight we're out there playing Yahtzee and drinking beers through his feeding tube. So I mean, this guy's he's got ALS, but he's still kicking ass and going for it.
Wow.
He was at the Seattle premiere last night with Pearl Jam. So he's just going for it. He's not going to let this thing slow him down, and he wants to give other patients the same luxury and resources to allow him to live a purposeful life in the way that he has.
That's awesome.
I could tell that there's going to be tissues, and I'm not afraid to say when I see stuff like this, I'm going to need a few as well. Scott Fujita with us here, Tiki and Tierney. Scott, I don't know enough, and I feel like not many of us do, like with cancer and AIDS, it just seems like it's so much more discussed, and it's got a much more public existence, if that made any sense. But ALS, there's still intrigue and curiosity. And is there any link at all on any level between football and the disease itself?
It's so hard to say because ALS is still one of those diseases with a ton of mystery around it. Like I said, I lost my uncle years ago who never played a down of football. Over 40% of ALS patients are women. So it's very hard to say for sure. But what I will say, and the good thing now, and this might sound weird to say, but it's a good time to be in the ALS space because there's more conversation than there has ever been before. And that comes from a number of areas. I think a guy like Steve, living the way he lives with this disease, so public and out front and like pushing the envelope, it ignites conversations. The Ice Bucket Challenge a couple years ago, that ignites a conversation. The Stephen Hawking film last year, Theory of Everything, that ignites more conversation. So there's more people talking about it, more resources coming in, more research dollars being raised. And at the end of the day, that's what's going to move the needle around this disease.
Yeah, it's interesting. You bring up Stephen Hawking, and obviously being a science and math geek like I was, he was someone whose life and career I paid very close attention to. But when you heard the ALS diagnosis, we all think of Gehrig, and he's going to pass away soon. Stephen Hawking has lived forever. Is that those type of stories, because you don't hear a ton of them, is that encouraging to Steve?
Yeah, I think it is. And that's the thing. I mean, average life expectancy post-diagnosis is 2 to 5 years. Steve made the decision last year to have a tracheotomy done. So now he breathes through a ventilator. That's tough because when you live with a vent, you need 24-hour care, and it costs a lot of money. And less than 5% of patients choose to go have a trach. So that's essentially a guy like Steve. He's past 5 years now already, and he's more or less plateaued now. So he can go as long as he wants to go with this thing. Stephen Hawking the same way. So I think with Steve, it's about trying to, again, equip people with the tech and the equipment and the resources. So if they want to make that decision, they can. Steve and Michelle are the first to admit that they're very fortunate to have great caregiving team, great support around them. They acknowledge that not everybody has that. So that's why they want to help people as much as they can.
We reported on a report yesterday about the Ice Bucket Challenge and how they were able to find a gene that may lead to a cure or better diagnosis. What's the thought around the ALS community with that? Because obviously it was something social and viral that ended up making a significant difference, not just raising money.
Yeah, and again, like I said, that's just a part of the broader conversation. To have discoveries like that researchers and scientists now can focus on, it's one small piece of a very big, complicated puzzle. So yeah, to have any kind of breakthrough is huge because the ALS community needs that.
Scott, really, really important conversation, and just keep doing good things, man. You obviously have big plans for the rest of your life, and you got the education and the desire to back it up. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Good job, Scotty.
Appreciate you,
Appreciate
Scott.
it, guys, so much. Thank you guys so much. In theaters tonight, everybody. Check us out, please. GleasonMovie.com for showtimes.
Most certainly.
We'll tweet it all out for you, man. We got you back on the Scott, no doubt about it. Well done. 30